How's it going, John? I heard there's a warrant out for your arrest.
I think the Texas people are reacting the same way you are. They consider this pretty laughable. The bluster that we're seeing from weak leaders like Greg Abbott and John Cornyn and our Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. These individuals have proven how weak they are. If they weren't weak, they would stand up to Donald Trump and tell him we've had an emergency in Texas and we need to be dealing with that, not helping you rig and steal midterm elections. And so, we don't take it that seriously. The bluster that they're giving us, we're focused on fighting for the Texas and American people.
Just so I'm clear, you all were supposed to discuss funding for the Texas flood victims, correct?
Yeah, so special sessions in Texas can only be called by the governor. We're not in regular session time. He called a special session after the Hill Country floods. And so everyone remembers what happened. We had a cabin full of 8-year-old girls washed away in the middle of the night. We had local families calling 911, begging for help, only to be told by operators that no help was coming. In the end, that night, 137 Texans lost their lives. That is something that Texas lawmakers should be prioritized and that we should be focused on. And the governor told us we're going to have a special session to help with that. But instead, he is using those victims and those memories to call us back, not to focus on the flood victims, but to focus on one person and one person only, and that's President Donald Trump. Donald Trump is one of the most unpopular presidents ever. He knows it. He knows that if you cut health care for veterans, if you cut health care for Americans, if you withhold funding for public education, it's not something that the voters are going to like. So he now needs to rig the election. And he found an easy partner in Greg Abbott. He knows Greg will do whatever he says. So he called him and he said, I need your help. I need you to go steal 5 congressional seats from the people of Texas and give them to Donald Trump. And Greg Abbott said, yes, sir, let me get to work for you. And he's using the memories of the Hill Country to try to get that done. It's disgusting and it's unacceptable.
So he used that tragedy as a way to almost trap you guys to vote on gerrymandering Texas.
Absolutely.
That's gross. That's gross.
It also should be noted that Greg Abbott has executive power authority. He could help the victims of the flood today. He doesn't need us there to get that done. And during the COVID era, which he acted like was fake, he used his executive powers, some of the longest of any governor in the nation, to hold on and do what he wanted to without our action. He could do that today. He is choosing not to because he is using them as a political pawn right now in this game.
So today, Senator Cornyn just tweeted that Kash Patel has approved his request for the FBI to assist in locating and apprehending the Democratic lawmakers. Just so I am absolutely fucking clear, the federal government is getting involved in attempting to arrest Democratic lawmakers who haven't even broken the fucking law.
That's right.
So how does that make you feel, not only as a lawmaker, but as a patriotic American?
This country and the dream of this country, I think about Barbara Jordan, a great Texan, who said what the people want is an America as good as its promise. That's what we all have a responsibility to fight for. America is a work in progress, and we want it to be a table big enough for everybody. But then when you have people doing the actions of John Cornyn and Kash Patel and the Attorney General of Texas and Greg Abbott, and they're talking about locking up their political opponents, dragging us back to the Capitol, it doesn't sound like America to me. It sounds like some fascist countries in much darker times in history. And it proves to me that we are on the right side of this fight and we must continue to resist and fight back. If Donald Trump was a popular president, he wouldn't be having to settle with these types of behavior. He knows he's not, so he's doing anything he can as a wannabe dictator to cling to power.
And what's so interesting is the founding of America. They were escaping all of that. And what spurred the birth of America was the lack of representation. So it is a juxtaposition comparing the idea of America and politically gerrymandering the Republican states. What do you say to your opposition that says, well, Democrats do it too?
What I say is, I'm against gerrymandering, period. And I hope that our opposition that's saying that now will support and call up. I want the Texas leaders that are pointing out gerrymandering from other states, call the congressional delegation from Texas, call those Republicans and tell them to file a bill to end gerrymandering across this country. I know the Texas House Dems will support it. And the way they're talking lately, you would think they would support it too. Let's get that done. Let's end this. But I will tell you, if Greg Abbott and Donald Trump break the system, if they break the rules, then I'm going to be damn proud of any Democratic governor that stands up and fights fire with fire.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Democrats in 2019 and 2021 that federally tried to end gerrymandering.
Absolutely.
And every single Republican voted against that, correct?
Correct. And Texas House Dems have also filed legislation every session to end gerrymandering in Texas. We can't even get hearings on those bills.
That's ironic.
Yeah, they're playing political games with people's lives. They know it, and and I think it's pissing them off that they're actually not that good at it right now, and the people are seeing through their bullshit and their games.
I agree. I do think the American people are starting to wake up. My father was a hardcore Trump supporter, and now he today, I just checked his Facebook, and he just posted his very first anti-Trump post. So that's a big deal.
Good. Yeah.
So do you think in the freest country in the world that the arrest of Democratic lawmakers due to situations such as what you're experiencing right now is a real possibility in the future?
I want to think that it's not. I hope that it's not. We need every American patriot to stand up to this and to resist this. I don't care what political party you come from. We've all taken history classes. We know of the struggle of the American dream and to make it available to everyone. This is our fight now. We must stop what Donald Trump is trying to do. Because if he gets away with this, the America we know will cease to exist. We must all do our part and stand up and resist. I don't believe it will happen, but if it does, it would be detrimental for the future of this country. So we can't let it happen. So we must all do our part.
So do you think threatening to use federal authorities to come and arrest you is just posturing?
I hope it's posturing. I think it's posturing. But let me tell you, their comments have real impact. When you think about the fact that the Texas Attorney General told his sycophant supporters to hunt us down, and then a day later, there's a bomb threat on our hotel and we have to be evacuated. What the fuck did he think was going to happen? If you're making physical threats while we're in the middle of a political disagreement, a political fight, and they make it physical, there's going to be somebody out there that thinks they can be a cowboy up hero, and that's going to put people's lives at risk, and it's unacceptable. And to this moment, we're now over 24 hours. Greg Abbott hasn't said one thing to denounce the bomb threat. Ken Paxton hasn't said one thing to denounce the bomb threat. John Cornyn, not only did he not denounce the bomb threat, he is instigating more by having the FBI try to come hunt us down. This is totally unacceptable behavior by a bunch of failed leaders.
What a perfect opportunity, though, to intimidate your opposition and then wash your hands and be like, well, it's not really my fault. Like, we've seen that on January 6th as well.
Absolutely.
It's not really my fault when he is the leader of the United States of America, and all failure falls down to the leader.
That's right. And one of the people standing with Trump on January 6th was Attorney General Ken Paxton. These guys have turned their backs on the people of our state and the people of this country.
Wasn't Ken Paxton, didn't he get impeached?
Yes, I was part of that vote in the House. Unfortunately, the Texas Senate, much like Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick, our governor and lieutenant governor, lacked the courage to follow through. They know he's guilty. We know they know he's guilty because, look, John Cornyn's talking about it all the time now that he's a political opponent of his. But they didn't have the courage to do what they needed to do and kick his ass out of office.
So basically, we have people with alleged corruption in positions of power threatening to use federal authorities to arrest the political opposition in the freest country in America. If you would have told me that 10 fucking years ago,
Oh yeah.
I would not have believed it. So how far we've come.
Let's go back to the era of George Bush and Barack Obama competing with each other. It would have never been a part of our wildest dreams that we would be where we are today.
Well, I can tell you that you're risking your ass, your career, possibly your freedom. When you're laying in bed at night, what are you thinking about when you process all of that?
Look, I'm vice chair of the elections committee. I have been for multiple sessions now. I've been on the front lines of watching Texas Republicans attempt to steal Texans access to the ballot box, to steal their voice. I know how serious this is, and I know that they will follow through if we allow them to. So I can't stop thinking about this. I've got daughters back home, a lot going on in our lives, but this is too important to not prioritize it. And that's what we're asking everyone else to do also. Join us in this resistance. This is not a Texas fight. This is an American fight. If they steal these congressional seats, they're going to gut healthcare for Americans. If they steal these congressional seats, they will gut funding for our public schools. We must all, across all 50 states, do our part to care about this. That's what I'm thinking about at night, is how do we continue to raise awareness of what's happening in Texas to make sure every state has patriots and champions stepping up for the cause of this country.
One thing my followers want to know is, how can the common man fix this? Because to me, it feels like we're letting powerful people choose their voters, and we're not letting voters choose their leaders. So what can the common man do to support you to help Texas Democrats?
Well, you can go to any of our websites, the Texas House Democratic Caucus, and look us up and figure out how to give support that way. But most importantly, within your own community, within your own state, figure out what you can do. That one, to end gerrymandering, and two, to be ready to respond and fight fire with fire if Greg Abbott and Donald Trump break the system, because then we have to be ready. Democrats can't back down. They have to be strong and ready to fight. I hope it doesn't come to that. Let's first put pressure. I was proud that with this conversation, 2 Republican Congress members in California have filed legislation to end mid-decade redistricting. The conversation that we are having with the American people is changing hearts and minds, and we need to try to get that done. So let's raise awareness of that. And then most importantly, as much as they're trying to rig the game against you, as much as they're trying to silence your voice, do not forget the power of the vote. Everybody has to stay engaged and vote, and not just yourself. Make sure your friends and family do it. We all think if we're in politics that everybody participates, and we think, oh, all our friends are voters. They're not, especially in non-presidential elections. We need to engage everybody all the time and never take the ballot box for granted.
Yeah, a lot of people ask, well, what are Democrats doing about it? Well, that's us.
That's
what
us.
What are we
That's right.
doing about it?
America is an experiment that requires every generation to do their part, right? We've seen the fights of the civil rights movement and the voting rights and the pushes that we have needed along the way. And it's taken the people resisting the status quo to push America to a better place. Right now, we've got leadership like we've never seen before that are trying to undo that progress. We must stop them, and we must continue doing our part with the time we have to move America forward for a better future for every American.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I wish Texas Democrats the best of luck, because I think that this is an inflection point in America.
Well, Corey, thank you for having me. Thanks for helping to have this conversation. It's so important that we continue this.
All right. Hey, John, thank you.
Thanks, sir.